Eugene Kolb, Geneva correspondent of Mishmar, and in parentheses it says the Daily Guardian of Tel Aviv, wrote to Jung on 4 September 1945 for his answers to the following questions. Jung replied on 14 September, and the footnote says, not published until 15 November 1974, when Kolb's and Jung's letters were printed in Mishmar, in Hebrew, with editorial comments under the heading, What Did Jung Say to Mishmar's Correspondent in Switzerland 29 years ago? The publication was the consequence of an inquiry sent to Mishmar by the editors of the collected works, attempting to learn whether the late Eugene Kolb had published Jung's letter. And so this is Dr. Jung's letter. Answers to Mishmar on Adolf Hitler. How do you, as a psychiatrist, judge Hitler as a patient? Jung's answer, paragraph 1384 of volume 18. Hitler was, in my view, primarily an hysteric. Already in the First World War, he had been officially diagnosed as such. More particularly, he was characterized by a subform of hysteria, pseudologia fantastica. In other words, he was a pathological liar. If these people do not start out directly as deceivers, they are the sort of idealists who are always in love with their own ideas and who anticipate their aims by presenting their wish fantasies partly as easily attainable and partly as having been attained, and who believe these obvious lies themselves. In order to realize their wish fantasies, no means is too bad for them, just because they believe they can attain their beloved aim. They believe they are doing it for the benefit of humanity, or at least of the nation or their party, and cannot under any circumstances see that their aim is invariably egoistic. Since this is a common failing, it is difficult for the layman to recognize such cases as psychopathic. Because only a convinced person is immediately convincing by psychic contagion, he exercises, as a rule, a devastating influence on his contemporaries. Almost everybody is taken in by him. Question 2. How could this psychopath influence whole nations to such an extent? Paragraph 1385. If his maniacal wish system is a socio-political one, and if it corresponds to the pet ideas of a majority, it produces a psychic epidemic that swells like an avalanche. The majority of the German people were discontented and hugged feelings of revenge and resentment, born of their national inferiority complex, and identified themselves with the underdog. Third question. Do you consider his contemporaries who executed his plans equally psychopathic? Paragraph 1386. Suggestion works only when there is a secret wish to fulfill it. Thus Hitler was able to work on all those who compensated their inferiority complex with social aspirations and secret dreams of power. As a result, he collected an army of social misfits, psychopaths, and criminals around him, to which he also belonged. But at the same time, he gripped the unconscious of normal people, who are always naive and fancy themselves utterly innocent and right. The majority of normal people are ridiculously unconscious and naive and are open to any passing suggestion. So far as lack of adaptation is a disease, one can call a whole nation diseased. But this is normal mass psychology. It is a herd phenomenon, like panic. The more people live together in heaps, the stupider and more suggestible the individual becomes. Fourth question. If that is so, how can they be cured? Paragraph 1387. Education for fuller consciousness, prevention of social herd formations, of proletarianization and mass-mindedness. So that was Dr. Jung's response to the correspondent from Mishmar, which in English is described as the Daily Guardian from Tel Aviv in 1945, just after World War II.